Hey. Hi there, Sabrina. How you doing?
Hello. Hi, Nathan. I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Nice to have you back. We're on the sixth, I believe, sixth episode of our Speed It Up show. Sabrina has joined us on many previous occasions to talk about speeding up any old site really. It doesn't have to be a WordPress site. I guess WordPress fits the bill in many scenarios, but it doesn't have to be WordPress. We don't really have a particular agenda today. We didn't have a site that was submitted, so we can't share the screens and show one that has been submitted. But I might as well go through that and explain how, if you did wish to have Sabrina look at your website, it would be possible for you to do that. So let me just share that experience. If you want to do that, very simple. Head to this URL. It's pretty straightforward. Go to wpbuilds.com/speed. And over there is a form. It'll take you no more than a minute, maybe a couple of minutes to fill out, giving some basic details about, what the website is and what you would like Sabrina to look at and whether or not you want her to get into the WordPress backend or any of that kind of stuff. So wpbuilds.com/speed. If you're joining us today and you want to make some comments, I can see that there's somebody's already done that. Mike, hi there, Mike. Very nice to have you with us once again. If, like Mike, you want to make a comment, that's totally possible, depending on where you are, depends upon how you're going to manage that. But basically, the easiest place to go of all is to go to wpbuilds.com/live. Over there, you've got a couple of options. You can either be logged into a Google account. YouTube, basically, is the comments. That's in the box to the right, but if you're on a mobile, it'll be underneath. Or if you look inside the video, top right of the video, the other right, Nathan. If you look top right on the video, you'll see a little black box. I think it says live chat or something. It's a button at the top. Click that, and you don't have to be logged into anything. You just type in your name and type in your comments, so you can do that. One other option is if you're on Facebook, then we need to have permission. And in order to do that, head to wave.video/live/Facebook, and that will allow us to see who you are. Okay, so yes, please go share the stream, wpbuilds.com/live. All right, Sabrina, I have builders. They are coming and going. I don't know whether they're going to be here during this presentation or not. So there's a high chance that if they do show up and start banging things, it'll be very loud. So I will probably put my mic on mute at various different moments. If I do that and I fail to, if my mouth starts moving and no words come out, just say, "You're on mute." And I'll endeavor to come back in. So what's the plan today, Sabrina?
So, the plan today is not to look at someone's website because we don't have, sadly, one, but the idea of today's topic came to me after the event I was invited to speak at in the SEC event last week. We were talking about WooCommerce backend performance. And the host of this event, Alexander Savkovich, he worked many years in hosting companies. And what he said as an insider information, that's what I was always thinking, but he confirmed that by his experience, 99% of people using hosting are not using resources that are paying for. They are overpaying for what they need. They are paying for what they don't really need. And then there is this 1% of people who desperately need more resources, but but they're not having them. And then there is a small amount of people who have exactly what they need. And I'm thinking it would be good to talk today about how to reduce costs for hosting.
Good
Because,
idea. Yeah.
because usually when people ask, like, if you Google how to reduce costs for hosting, it will be an article, a blog post on some hosting provider comparing their
Yeah.
plans to
Yeah.
other hosting providers'
Yeah.
plans and so on and so forth. But this is not really the answer. This is not the answer. And we're going to talk about how to really um, shorten your budget on hosting. And for that, we will start with what usual hosting plan includes and what you're paying for usually. So we won't be touching how many domains name you can use and so on and so forth, only about resources. Usually there are two main things there. First thing is disk space that you are using. This is number one. And another one, actual resources, CPU and memory that you're using. Of course, there are a lot more technical details, in-out rate and everything and so on and so forth. But usually, when you compare plans, you can see how the plan price grows based on these resources. How many space you have, what is the amount of memory that you have, and how many server power you have. And we'll talk today how to reduce usage of server resources and space, because there are cases often when you need more space and you buy high tier because you need more space, but you're not using resources that you're having with it. Maybe you can free up space somehow and save those money, or vice versa. Something on your website is forcing you to upgrade tier because you need more resources, and you keep upgrading and upgrading, and you're overpaying for things that you're not using except of that. This is the idea for today.
Perfect. And it's that I can totally sympathize with that, because that kind of thing happens all the time. And especially, how to describe it, I think this is an area where you can be massively confused, because if you're not really into the technology behind a website and you don't understand what CPU is and all of that kind of stuff, I think it's really easy to just be persuaded that you must
That you
upgrade.
need.
Right, because that just seems like the sensible thing. Well, something's wrong. I'm being advised that maybe an upgrade would be the correct way to go, and perhaps that isn't always the best way to go. So, oh, great idea, Sabrina. Loving it. Okay.
I just you just mentioned, Nathan, that when you don't really know what's going on, you can be persuaded, and I see this happening often. That website has a temporarily technical issue, a temporarily bottleneck. For example, server is crashing or database server is crashing, and hosting provider advice in this case often just you just don't need enough resources, you need to upgrade, and they don't explain what does that mean. Often you do need to upgrade just to keep your website functioning. Then you need, after you upgrade it, then you need to investigate what was causing the issue,
Right.
fix it, and downgrade. I had a client in February last year, on 14th of February, on St. Valentine's Day, we were doing this work. They had to upgrade to the tier on WP Engine that costs $3,000, $3,000, $3,050 per month.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a lot. That's really a lot.
yeah. And also, what I'm just obliged to say, that WP Engine in that case, they were very understanding. They said, we will upgrade you for free for a month from your current plan to this plan. Their previous plan was very expensive as well, But they upgraded to the next plan, which is 3,000 for free for a month, because we understand that you might need to investigate what's happening, and if you will be able to downgrade after, we will give you this month for free. That was very nice of them. but I don't really see this often. So, and that client, they had issues with their WooCommerce installation, and there was because of the way how their custom theme was coded, their usual WooCommerce website became very, very slow, and every action made on that website required a lot of resources from the server. That's why they needed to upgrade. And we had these months to investigate and to find and to fix what was the bottleneck. And I just want to recommend a tool that without which it wouldn't be possible to do. We used New Relic for that, and I always recommend this tool to use. A lot of hosting providers provide a New Relic connection in their hosting panels, but if your certain hosting provider doesn't provide, there are ways to install it even without, like, directly on the server. This is very cool tool. It basically, what it does, it shows in very, very small detail exactly what is happening when someone is opening the page, when someone is clicking the link, for example, add to the cart. If someone clicked add to the cart, I can track down all the hooks, all the actions, everything that happened after that action. And I'm able to see how much time each and every action took, what each action fired next. Because, when you click add to the cart button, for example, it's not one action happening, it's a bunch of actions happening, and then that bunch of actions are calling other actions into the game. And using New Relic, you can track what was happening, what was called, how much time it took, and where exactly, and for which users. Because it's important to know what the user role and cart and previous orders were. For that case, for example, it was very tricky to investigate because the slowness, this bottleneck, happened on the website, not for all users. It was very hard to catch it. And without New Relic, I don't know, I really do not know how we would be doing this. It was hard to catch it because this bottleneck was happening only for users that were having a lot of previous orders in their account. It was a WooCommerce website selling downloadable products. And with downloadable products, you don't want your users to pay second time for the same product.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And there were users there that bought, before they bought 1,000, 2,000 of products. So whenever that user click add to cart button, there are a lot of checks happening if they have bought this product before, so that if in case they bought that product before, we won't be allowing them. And I just jumped a little bit with this story because that was our fix number one. That's what we fixed. But initially, it wasn't like that. Initially, when the page was loaded, it's normal thing. When the page is loaded, it was checking if that user's bought it before, and in case the user bought it before, the add to cart button wasn't available. And the tricky thing is also that one product had a lot of variations. So one page would be doing checks for each and every variation for this customer to check if it's available for them. And it wasn't a problem at all for most of the users, but that specific website, they had quite a few users who had 2,000 orders before.
That's a lot of
And
checking. That is a
that's
lot of checking. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And also the theme was done in the wrong way. So it's already a very heavy thing. In WooCommerce, it's not done in a efficient way. And then there are those people who have lots of downloads, previous orders. And what WooCommerce does, it takes the database of all orders first. In each order of this user is taken, it's taken the product, and then it compares the list of this product with the IDs that we have on this page. And this I understand this is not what is happening on each and every website, but to investigate tricky cases like this, New Relic is the tool that I recommend.
So how does it actually give you that? How did it give you that insight? Does it literally explain that to you? Is it works that out on?
It's a huge table. Like you can click down and down and down and go down through the rabbit hole of each action.
Yeah.
So you can click the page, for example. You can open the page. If it wasn't private information, I would open it and show right now.
No,
But
it's fine,
cannot do it.
fine. Don't do that.
Um,
Yeah.
So you can open to see what was happening. You can see there what was happening in the last 5 minutes, and then you have URLs with arguments in the query string.
Yep.
What was called exactly? You're clicking on that URL, and then you can see all actions that were happening on that URL. All actions, and then you can click on certain action, and you can see what that action caused, what it called, what happened after that action happened.
Right.
And you can go down and down and down. It's like a huge tree that you can go down to the levels, right? And there is a lot of information there, but it's all in visual way, structured nicely, so you can identify, okay, this is slow, this is slow, this is slow. Let's go down and check why it is slow. That's what it does.
It's really incredible. That's a pretty impressive tool. I did actually share it on the screen, but I'll share it one more time. So it's New Relic. It's newrelic.com, and we just had a little scan through the bits and pieces on the screen there. Okay, so that's great. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
Yeah. So, and I see that we have a comment from Mike here. And I think we should start with this, because I started with exciting things, but we can start with this, actually. The difference between physical memory usage, disk usage, and file usage. By the way, if this is for anyone who is watching us right now, if you're watching us right now, please drop a line, say hi. We would be pleased to know that you are watching and this is useful. Say hi to us. So in this case, in the case that I've just described, it was the question of memory usage and server CPU usage, and we had to upgrade for those resources. We didn't need the disk usage. There was not growing number of files or backups or anything. That's wasn't what we needed. We needed CPU and memory for that. And finishing the story about that client, we fixed that, and they went from that $3,050 per month plan to $400 plan.
Good job, Sabrina. You earned your money, didn't you? That's great. You made them very happy.
Yeah. It was very rewarding, like very cool case. So this was about resources usage, and the moral of this story is that if you have a sudden spike in your server resources usage, and your hosting provider is telling you that you need to upgrade your plan, this might be the case that you need to upgrade your plan, but it also might be needed only temporarily. When you upgrade your plan, try to investigate why that happened. Usually, if you didn't have any traffic spikes, if you didn't have anything changed much on your website, and it might be not necessary for you to stick with higher tier, you might be able to discover processes that are causing this higher resources usage and downgrade back. This is the advice.
That's good advice. It's certainly in the case that you mentioned. That was really good advice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good thing about New Relic also, because with that site, for example, they didn't have New Relic activated when I came in. But good thing with New Relic that once you activate it, it starts gathering information right away, and depends on when your issue will happen. For us, it was about 11 hours before we saw what was happening there.
Okay.
Because, as I said, it only happened for certain users. And when it happened for those users, it was handing down all, like, it was stopping all processes. So
Yeah.
one user with a lot of downloads requested certain action, and it was stopping the entire pipeline for everyone else.
So you needed one of those users to sort of come along and use the website.
Yes.
So in theory,
exactly.
that could have been any amount of time. It could have been weeks until somebody did that again. Okay, but you got lucky. That's great.
Yeah. This was about our server resources. And just to add to that, in this case, it was related to, first, it was three things. WooCommerce doesn't handle this specific part, checking the availability of downloadable products. It doesn't do it in efficient way. This was the first part that contributed. The second part was the poorly coded custom theme. And the third part was that website got lucky to have clients who made that many orders to just have enough impact, so that these three, they kind of come together. And yeah,
well, you got lucky as well that they happened to be there when you put New Relic on it, because yeah, that could have been you might not have spotted anything, and then it would have looked like you hadn't done your job, or you didn't know exactly what was going on. So that's well done.
Yeah. So for that side, it was these three things, but it can be something else. For example, it can be something happening by cron events, scheduled events that are happening usually on your website. For example, making the most prominent example that I can think of is on the websites that have something posted on schedule. And on the news websites, for example, they plan their posting beforehand, and sometimes before posting, they synchronize with something else. They grab information from somewhere else. Sometimes this happens on multi-site, and the process of and this is saved for as cron job, as scheduled event. On my website, I have if someone who is watching us, for them this is the case, I have a article on my website that is called cron for multi-site, for high-loaded multi-site networks.
Okay.
So if someone who is watching us has this problem, you can find some answers in that article, how to make these scheduled events on multi-site when when this event requires a lot of resources and it happens on regular basis, how to optimize it for performance.
Your
So
website, by the way, I guess
this
to
is
give
me,
you a
Sabrina
plug for that,
Zidane.
it's sabrinazidan.com. Yeah. Okay. Great.
So it might be it might be one factor. It might be a combination of factors that is slowing down your back end and causing you to upgrade to the higher plan. I don't think that I have ever seen the website that would need something over $500 plan if it's optimized well. Like, I think those sites exist, they do exist, but for most people who are paying something over that, it just means that your backend is not optimized well. That's why you are paying that much.
Yeah, so that's a really good point as well, because obviously every business wants to be agile and they want to be lean. And if you're in charge of a website and the bill is going bananas, listen to Sabrina's advice. It might be worth getting somebody like Sabrina in to take a look at it, because it may be that you could save thousands potentially of dollars a year just by doing some remedial work and using tools like New Relic, like you just mentioned. Yeah, amazing.
Here is you just said hire someone like Sabrina, and I immediately had this idea what you can do yourself without even hiring someone. What
Yeah.
you can do yourself to investigate why is it so the easiest way to investigate what is happening is just to pick time on your website when there are not a lot of visitors there, nighttime obviously, maybe 3 a.m 4 a.m, wherever you're not sleeping. Just pick that time and do this basic recommendation: switch to default theme, turn off your plugins, and try enabling one by one and switch. Like, first you disable all plugins, then you switch to default theme. You are now on WordPress only. If the issue still there, well, you have the answer. It's not plugin, it's not theme. It's something inside WordPress install. It's something that is happening somewhere in WordPress install. Most likely, this something has nothing to do with WordPress install itself in this case, because it might be some developer who put stuff where it shouldn't go. Because 99% of cases, if you switch off to default theme and deactivate all plugins, you will see that your website is fast. If it's not happening, probably there is something is going wrong with your installation in general. Then, if it's fine, try to activate your theme first, see how it changes. Then activate plugins one by one, see how it changes. And you will be able to understand what is adding to this slowness. While doing this, it's a good idea to have Query Monitor on, and you will see this. We were talking about Query Monitor in our previous episode, by the way, and you will see on the screen the numbers showing you how many queries are made and how long this page took to get loaded. And this way, without hiring anyone, without doing any complicated moves, you might be able to figure out that this is specific plugin that causes these bottlenecks. You might be able to turn on everything back except of that plugin, and if this is true, this is the answer. This plugin is slowing the website down. And then, depending on the situation, if you can substitute it quickly and painlessly with something else. For example, you just used it for one thing and you can substitute it easily. Probably it makes sense just to substitute it with something else. If it's plugin that it's deeply incorporated into your website architecture and design and functionality, then you might need to take steps further. But this is the simplest steps you can take to investigate where the bottleneck is.
Query Monitor, by the way, is at querymonitor.com. It really is just a holding page for the link to the repo. They're not trying to upsell you anything, but there you go, querymonitor.com. We'll link. I think that's a direct link straight. Yeah, there's a little download tab at the top, which takes you directly to WordPress.org, where you can get it for free. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple of questions if you want to take those. So thank you for those, Mike, for a start. So Nero says, so this is a question directed towards you, Sabrina. I don't know if you want to deal with this one now or later, but it says, as well as your client, do you feed back to plugin developers to help improve plugins? So that's asking you about work, really, which is nice. Do you do that kind of thing?
Yeah, I do that, and I will explain when I don't do this and when I do this. If I see that the plugin is just in general poorly written and it's not one single thing, I would probably not contact developers. I would just try to avoid that plugin by all means. But
oh, I see. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
But if it's something that may be not done in a good way, but in general plugin is fine, I almost sure will contact them and tell them, okay, here is the situation that my client has. Here is what we found out. Here is, usually I already would fix that by that time. Here is how we fixed it temporarily on our client's website. Here is how I can suggest you to fix it. And in many cases, it works because if you come with someone with complaining about their work and suggest solution to fix it, it's so much easier to fix it when you already have a solution. Because if you just complain that something, and also if you provide detailed information for the team to replicate the problem, it would be so much faster to fix this. I often do this with plugin developers who are related to anything ads related, anything for displaying ads and rotating and all that stuff. I would say that niche of plugin developers, they are very, very responsive to such things. They are very quick to react. They are very responsive, probably because the clients that are using their plugins, they know exactly what they are missing on their revenue when something is not right, because those sites are making money with the content, you know?
That's a good point. So, in some situations, in many situations, you will, and obviously by doing that, you help the rest of us out because the plugin developers get to know your thoughts. So that's nice to know. So thank you, Nero. And then we have a comment. I don't know who this is because it's anonymized, but it says great advice. Would that mean it's your hosting? So I think probably that comment dropped at the point where you were talking about disabling themes, except the default theme, and disabling plugins, and then figuring out, okay, it's either WordPress at this point or it's hosting. And I guess,
hosting.
If you put a new vanilla version of WordPress in, and you know for a fact that there's nothing weird going on, because there's always the possibility that something has been hijacked in your, security related. But at that point, it's the
Yeah, this
hosting?
is very good question because I didn't describe that in a detail. So you switched to default theme, you deactivated all plugins, and now you can see that with everything deactivated, your website is still slow. It might mean that it's something with your hosting, or it might mean that it's something with your WordPress install. And next step would be, as Nathan just said, try to install vanilla WordPress if you have the opportunity to add another website on this very hosting panel. Just install next to your existing one. Install new WordPress installation, absolutely new from scratch without anything. Try speed there. If it's fast, it means something is wrong with installation,
Right.
not with the hosting. I know that many people would advise just contact your hosting provider. I don't know, maybe it's my bad luck, but I feel I just can't remember when I contacted hosting provider with the issue and it was quick and
Yeah.
painless
Yeah.
to resolve, because usually I contact hosting providers when I already know the issue and I'm asking. For example, I found out the issue, I know the issue, I know how to fix it, and I'm asking hosting provider, okay guys, here is the issue, here is how I want to fix it, but I can't figure out on your exact server or on your exact hosting panel, I can't figure out how to do this. And I'm asking them very specific questions and it takes a lot of time to answer. I can't imagine, if you just tell them, my website is slow, what do I do?
Yeah. Yeah. That's where you come in, Sabrina.
Yeah.
That's your role. That's why
That,
we have people like you.
that's right. Yeah, but yeah, before that, you can go through this process and just maybe you are lucky and you will be able to figure out what's slowing down your website on your own and quickly and painlessly.
Nice.
Mhm.
You had another
So
resource that you wanted to share as well, didn't you? Something that you had put together. I don't know if you want to do that now or
yeah,
not.
I sent you a link, and
Uh-huh.
that was our second part because we were talking about server resources such as CPU and memory. But then there is often a situation when you have to upgrade to the higher tier because you need more space on the server. You don't need more resources in terms of power, but you need more storage. And I've had quite a few clients that were upgrading and upgrading and upgrading continuously because their storage was growing larger and larger and larger because of the nature of the websites that they had. So, what to do in this case? If you need to constantly upgrade because your storage space is running low and like every now and then,
Hmm.
what to do? First thing that needs to be done is to identify if it's a bug or a feature.
Okay.
So, is it a coincidence? Like, is it the files that you need and you really need them and they are growing larger in size and you just have no option but to keep them? I'll talk about how to keep them in 2 minutes, but before you decide that you need to keep all that you have on your website, you need to figure out if this is what you really need. What can be a part of that growing space? The first, number one, it's backups. You might be having backups from different providers without even knowing it, and they might be stored on your server. I saw a website like a month ago. Um, it had 3 backup system on their hosting.
Okay.
A hosting provider was making everyday backup, full backup, and then they had 2 plugins installed to make backups as well.
Oh. Okay.
right?
Yeah, that's a
But
lot of backups.
that's a lot of backups.
Quickly grows.
But you know what is the funniest thing? Like, it's not only three backups that are saved.
Oh, I
That
know what you're going to say. They're backing up the backups.
yeah,
Okay, so it gets exponentially bigger. Every
right,
day it's worse. Oh
right,
no! Oh, good grief! Because it's buried in the file structure of WordPress, and that file hasn't been
exactly,
like it's not on a blacklist of don't back this up. So it's
right,
making a
exactly.
backup, then backing up WordPress plus the backup from yesterday,
Oh,
and the
from
next day it
yesterday,
does it.
and
It's
then
doing it, and then two
another
more.
two makes backup.
Oh, oh, it's not funny, but it is quite
It's
funny.
not funny, but it's so funny.
But even a tiny, teeny, tiny WordPress website,
Would
let that
grow
run for 3
exponentially.
days, 4
Yeah,
days, and suddenly you're into the gigabytes and gigabytes territory,
yeah.
aren't you?
Mhm.
Wow. That you see, that's just burning through cache, isn't it?
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
not good for the environment either, because you're just sending bits all over the planet that have no reason to exist.
That's true.
Oh, okay. Sorry if I interrupted. That was a good
I
story,
just
though. I like that.
I just love stories like
Yeah.
this because this is so easy to identify and fix. This is like, they had a huge problem that I come in. I fixed this huge problem in 20 minutes.
Yeah, well,
And
it was a huge problem, but
yeah,
it required one click of a button to,
yeah,
to
yeah,
make it
just
go away.
to
Oh,
figure out what's happening. This is so rare because my daily job, Nathan, my daily job is to speed up WordPress websites and to find bottlenecks. And usually I spend like 90% of my time to finding bottlenecks, to figuring out what's going on. And then 10% of the time just on fixing it. It's easy when you know what you need to fix. And when things like these happen, this is such good days.
yeah. You feel like a superhero because you just rock
Right.
in and sort of say, "Oh, well, done.
Yeah, right.
Here you go." Oh,
So
that's
this can
great.
be one example. Like backups, it's so basic. It's very easy to check. This can be one example why your website is growing large. Another example, it can be something might have gone wrong with the plugins that you are using. In normal situation they would be behaving one way, and in not normal situation they might be behaving in a weird way.
Mhm.
And especially with plugins that are supposed that created to improve your performance. For example, plugins that create page cache or create, for example, used CSS bits or store something. Some things might have gone wrong there. But to check that, it's easy as well. You're just checking what directories on your server are taking place. You are investigating why they're taking this place, and this is it. So these cases are very easy to check. These cases easy to fix because it's really bugs. It's really things that need to be fixed, right? But then there are other cases when it's not a bug and it's stuff that you need. It's stuff that you think you need to keep. For example,
Okay.
your
Yep.
media.
Yep.
You might be thinking that you need all that media, but in fact, you might be not needing it. And for example, basic example that would fit most of WordPress websites is when you upload any image to WordPress would create thumbnails which has a name that might be misleading for not native speakers as me, for example, because in my head thumbnails it's small small version of large image.
Mhm.
But in WordPress thumbnail, it's any version of original image.
Right,
And
right.
if you have, for example, 3 sizes set in your WordPress install, and then you have WooCommerce that adds its own thumbnail size, and then you have a couple of plugins that add their thumbnail size as well, you might find out that one single image that you uploaded to your WordPress leads to generation of 20 more
Yeah,
images
yeah.
from it of different sizes for different screen sizes and usage and so on and so forth. Most likely half or even more of those are not used.
It's kind of weird in a way that isn't handled in core, that there isn't a way of seeing all of that stuff in core, if you know what I mean. Like every time you create an image, that there isn't some sort of check to say, do you want to create all these other images? And I know that there's ways of doing that, but I always thought it was curious when I first found WordPress that was going on. I didn't know that was going on at the beginning, and it took somebody like you to tell me. And then I was like, okay, right, really? Every time. All right, okay. And you
Mhm.
heap on a lot of other plugins, like you said, WooCommerce and various other, I don't know, image compression plugins and things like that.
Yeah.
They'll make other different versions, and whether or not they get rid of the original one or just keep it just in case. There's a lot going, and it's especially images. It's megabytes and megabytes often. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I
Mhm.
interrupted.
I'm thinking what you said, that wouldn't it be nice to have this information when you're uploading an image? Probably it would be nice to have it listed that
That's what I mean.
this
Just
file,
showing you. Yeah, yeah,
mhm, like this action will generate 25 more images, just so you know.
right.
And then
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
up to you to take any action on this or not. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, maybe.
I bet there's something somewhere already out there in the wild that
Mhm,
does explain exactly that, as you're doing it, some little
mhm.
nice feature
Yeah.
plugin somewhere. But yeah, anyway, sorry, interrupted. So okay, images can be responsible.
Nathan, you know what the problem with performance is? That such plugin that would you install plugin that would tell you this, but if you installed plugin for this, you are not the one who needs to be told about this,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
you know that it's
I-
a thing. Yeah,
if you
yeah,
cared to install
yeah,
plugin
yeah,
to you know about this
yeah.
thing, but I think this is really a good idea to have this in the core
Okay,
because
I'm saying it. It should be in core. All right.
yeah. So this is one source of our growing file database, versions of images. Also, if you're installing, as you mentioned, a compression plugin, it might be generating WebP version for you, and it will be generating WebP version for every version of the image that you had. So you uploaded an
It's like the
image.
backups from a minute ago. You create one image, all of a sudden you've got 25 from one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's got to go somewhere.
it's fractal, right?
Yeah.
Cauliflower is
Yeah.
fractal.
I think there's a lot
So
of clever work being done by people like Cloudflare
mhm,
to render images on the edge, and
right,
they
right.
just serve up exactly what you need, more or
What
less at
you
the
need
moment you need
without
it. Yeah.
exactly. So for this case, what you can do, you can no. Before, I wanted to say that you can first offload your images somewhere so it doesn't take the place on your server,
Yep.
or use Cloudflare or Cloudinary or anything else to do that. But the problem is that even if you offload it somewhere, there are tons of images that has
Yeah.
already been created. You won't get rid of that. The link that I sent you before, Nathan, if you can have it on the screen, this
We
is the
can.
link to the post on my website, how to delete unused everything, attachments, media, everything that you need to delete on your website. There are a few cases I described there maybe that one of the cases would fit your situation. This is for someone who is watching us. So this is the second most popular space eating issue on the website, that images that you really need are created in multiple versions, and they're eating up the server, not server, but disk space on your hosting plan. But also there can be another situation, and I have this example. I'm doing this right now for a client. It can be another situation with news websites, for example. Imagine a news website with 100,000 of posts of news, right? That are already there. Most of those news are not relevant anymore.
Yeah.
You need, but some posts and some news still have traffic, because news websites, they're making money on traffic. So for this case, if and every single every single post with news.
Okay, that'll do. Yeah.
Every single post has its own images, right? So there are hundreds of thousands posts on your news portal that are eating up space. What can you do in this situation? I'm working for the client on this right now. In this situation, you can get rid of what is not bringing you money. You can delete posts that are not bringing any traffic anymore, are not bringing any revenue anymore. No one is visiting them. For this case, for example, what I'm doing, I'm grabbing information from Google Analytics, and I'm looking at the last 60 days. If there were no visit to the certain URL, I have this URL saved in a separate place or in text file.
Okay.
And after that, and this is done on cron every day. And after it's saved there, then another task will grab that file with the list of URLs that no one has visited for the last 60 days, and they're absolutely useless on our website. They're not bringing us anything, but they just eating space and resources from our WordPress. And another script will take the list of these URLs, delete the post, and delete the media. Not only attachments, but also delete the media related to that post. And this way, the database, the server space, the server resources, they can be kept lean. They can be kept in a good shape, even for large websites, news websites with a database that is supposed to be huge. It's 4 minutes to 5.
I know. I was just looking at the time thinking, what the heck? How did that happen again? Like a whole hour went. But just about your point there, that was a really interesting solution, by the way. So poll the website for a month. If something's not being used, classify it as it's worthy of being in a deleted state or a draft state. Then if that continues to be the case, after a month, delete it, but also find the media that was attached to that and delete that as well. I guess there's some scenarios where you don't want that to happen. Obviously, if you're, let's say you are a news
do it on my website.
Yeah, so like a news site or something. It might be important to keep that record. If you're the only news source in the area where you live, it might be really useful to have that for posterity, in the same way that we still look at manuscripts from thousands of years ago because it's interesting. But if you've just got content which is here today, gone tomorrow, that's a really useful idea. That's such a great idea. So search for things which are not being used, make them deleted, and at the same time delete the media that is attached to it. Just a couple of things that have come in. Firstly, Mike is saying he's just checked the physical memory usage of, I guess, a site. I don't know if it's his own site or what have you, and it's peaking at 100%. He's worried. So you know where to go, don't you, Mike? You can go to sabrinazidane.com and reach out to Sabrina. You never know; she might be able to get something going with you. But also, what else have we got? Henriette said, "Can we have the link in the chat?" So I did that. Hopefully you found it. Oh, you did. You did find it because I posted the link, and then that was the one on your website. And then thank you. And then Cami McNamara. Yeah, and saying she's enjoying it so much. Great, that's great. We are going to have to, as we say in the UK, knock it on the head because I have to disappear in about 10 minutes and go off and do things with my family this evening. So I guess it only remains for me to say, firstly, thank you so much, Sabrina. As always, a really interesting chat. Really interesting. I'm just going to put the URL for the submission of your site because if you are watching this at some point, not when it's live, and you missed this bit, please go and submit your site, wpbuilds.com/speed. There's a quick form, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, less, a minute, depending on how quick you are at typing. Go and fill that form out. And you never know, Sabrina might be looking at your website the next time we do this. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Sabrina, before we disappear?
And next time we are doing this is next Thursday, this very same time. We would love to have some websites submitted. You see how nice we are. We're not just going to say anything bad about your website. We will just try to identify bottlenecks and help you out.
Yeah. You're at least you're nice. I can't speak for myself, but you're nice, so that's good. 50% of the combination is very nice. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, Sabrina. We'll be back this time next week, so it'll be 3 p.m. UK time, wherever that is where you are in the world. You can figure that out, I'm sure, at wpbuilds.com/live. So we will end it there. Thank you so much, Sabrina, for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone who joined. Bye.
Bye-bye.